All right, so in this video, I want to state an equivalent expression for these trig ratios over here in terms of the related acute angle. So you want to solve these doing your cast rule. Let's start by drawing out the cast. Remember, we start with 0 over here and we go in the counterclockwise direction. So here we have pi over 2 or 0.5 pi. This is just pi. This is 3 pi over 2 or 1.5 pi. And then we're back to 2 pi in one full circle. So which quadrant does 3 pi over 4 lie in? Well, 3 pi over 4 is between pi over 2 and pi. It's going to be here in the second quadrant. There is my principal angle. So I need to find whether cos is positive or negative in this quadrant. And we can tell that only sine is positive here, which means cos is negative in this quadrant. So this is equivalent to negative cos of whatever the acute angle is over here. In this case, it's pi minus 3 pi over 4, which is just pi over 4. Negative cos pi over 4 is the equivalent expression. Basically, if you put this in a calculator and you put this in a calculator, you'll get the exact same answer. Let's do it for a couple of examples. Let's do this one next. Tan 11 pi over 6. I will start with my cast rule. I know 11 pi over 6 is slightly less than 2 pi, so it's in my fourth quadrant. And if I do 2 pi minus 11 pi over 6, I'll get pi over 6, which is my acute angle. And I know tan is negative in this quadrant. So this is going to equal to negative tan of pi over 6. Next example is cosec of negative pi over 3. Now, when we have a negative angle here, all that means is it changes the direction in our cast rule. We go from counterclockwise to clockwise. So if I was thinking of negatives, I start with 0 over here. This is negative pi over 2. This is negative pi. This is negative 3 pi over 2. And then this is negative 2 pi. So the direction just flips. Negative pi over 3 is just between 0 and negative pi over 2. So it's in this fourth quadrant over here. And then the acute angle is just pi over 3, because that's how much distance we've traveled. We know that cosec is the reciprocal of sine, and sine is negative in this quadrant, which means cosec is also going to be negative in this quadrant. So my answer here is negative cosec, and then the acute angle is just pi over 3. Fourth question is cot of 2 pi over 3. So I know that 2 pi over 3 is going to be in my second quadrant. It's between pi over 2 and pi. I know according to my cast rule that tan is negative in this quadrant, which means cot is also negative in this quadrant. This cot is the reciprocal of tan. Negative cot, and my acute angle is just going to be pi over 3, with pi minus 2 pi over 3 to give me pi over 3. All right, last two examples. Next one is sine of negative pi over 6. So again, we're going in the negative direction. Negative pi over 6 is just a bit in this quadrant, and I've just traveled by a distance or angle of pi over 6 radians. So I know that sine is negative in this quadrant, so this is equivalent to negative sine, and then the acute angle is just pi over 6. And last example here is sec of 7 pi over 4. So 7 pi over 4 is in my final quadrant over here, fourth quadrant. 7 pi over 4, which means that my acute angle is just 2 pi minus 7 pi over 4, which is pi over 4. And I know that cos is positive in this quadrant, which means sec is also going to be positive in this quadrant. So my final answer here is positive sec of pi over 4.